Secret 12. Supplies of Secret 12 are very limited. Secure yours today at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.
You can now listen to The Alex Jones Show live on the free TuneIn Radio app, featuring over 100,000 real radio stations, over 4 million podcasts streaming live from every continent, offering unprecedented access to listen to anything, anywhere. TuneIn lets you listen to over 100,000 real radio stations and more than 4 million podcasts from every continent, 200,000 mobile downloads per day. Available on iPhone, iPad, Android tablets, Windows 8, BlackBerry, Amazon Kindle. Available in over 200 branded products with millions of devices sold worldwide, including Samsung Smart TV, Roku, Sonos, Sony PlayStation, Amazon Echo, Panasonic Viera TV, Logitech Squeezebox. TuneIn brings streaming radio to cars, including GM, Ford, BMW, Tesla, Mercedes-Benz, Volvo, Nissan, Fiat, and more.
The average person's life is filled with unexpected challenges. Unlock the energy it takes to defeat these daily beasts with super male or super female vitality, specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper hormone balance to create superior vitality in males and females. Supercharge and conquer your world at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
The government's Department of Homeland Security is buying up loads of ammo. At the same time, they're restricting civilians' rights to own and purchase firearms. Can you put two and two together? Infidel Body Armor can stop every round, including hollow points and .308 sniper rounds. Is reasonably priced and fully legal. But for how long? Go to InfidelBodyArmor.com, spelled INFIDEL bodyarmor.com. Infidel Body Armor. Just won't quit.
In the near future.
When you realize how fake it all is, the football, the basketball.
Alert. Security alert. This is Homeland Security. Analysis. InfoWars building independent media operations.
Let the worst people get control and tell us that we are the ones responsible.
Prime directive. Discredit Alex Jones.
Jones is the wildly popular conspiracy theorist.
It's a popular conspiracy theory talk show called InfoWars.
Alex Jones is now in an Austin jail.
These people are assaulting us.
Targeting of patriots engaged.
They are never going to stop. They're never going to deviate from their program until we stop them.
Block free iPhone app at Infowars.com. Block free podcast and video feed. Imperative. Destroy Prison Planet TV.
You gotta set your eye on the enemy, not worry about what propaganda they put out. Intellectually, it's begun. You can feel it.
You're listening to The Alex Jones Show. From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. I'm David Knight. I'll be your host, and we're going to be talking in the next hour to our reporters in Chicago. Of course, we've been talking about that black site where they've been imprisoning people without charging them, where there are accusations of torture, even death in this black site. And we just played the excerpt from Rand Paul's speech at CPAC, where he said, when politicians accept imprisonment without trial, when politicians accept torture, even of the innocent, as being necessary, lovers of liberty need to rise. We need to understand that is happening in our country now. That's happening in Chicago. And we need to understand the roots of this. In Chicago, they're making excuses for it, saying it's part of the war on drugs. Actually, part of the war of drugs that our government is waging on America. And that war of drugs, bringing in the drugs, imprisoning people, entrapping them. We know that the government ran crack cocaine trade from Central America into L.A. through Freeway Ricky Ross. We know what Gary Webb discovered with that. We know they were running black ops. We know that they're growing opium in Afghanistan. That's where they're funding black ops. We've seen the world supply of opium from Afghanistan go from only 10% of the world supply to over 95% of the world supply since we've been there. We know what the war of drugs is about. It's a civil war against our political system, against our rights. Rand Paul called out Jeb Bush on marijuana because right now that's the focus of that's the most ridiculous aspect. But of course, the aspect of the war on drugs that is the one that puts most people in jail. Rand Paul slammed Jeb Bush for hypocrisy. He pointed out the flaws in Bush's opposition to medical marijuana last year in Florida. Paul said that he didn't criticize Bush for having made mistakes growing up. But he says, if you've got MS, multiple sclerosis, in Florida, Jeb Bush just voted to put you in jail if you go down to a local store, a local drugstore, and get medical marijuana. Yet he was doing it for recreational purposes. It was a different standard for him. It was a different standard for Jeb Bush because he was from a wealthy family going to a wealthy school, and he got off scot-free. And guess what? So did Jeb Bush's daughter. While Jeb Bush was governor, his daughter had problems with prescription drugs. She was arrested for that. I believe that it's not a crime. It should be treated as a medical condition. If you get an addiction to stuff like that, I don't think she should have been locked up. But Jeb Bush would lock up your daughter if she were in the same position. Instead, you've got the guy who is presiding over it. The judge gets a massive contribution to one of his favorite charities, and the only person who gets in any trouble over it, of course, is the reporter who exposes it. Now, also at CPAC was Michael Hayden, former director of the NSA, and prior to that, former director of the CIA. He had this to say at the NSA, where he was debating Judge Napolitano. Here's what Michael Hayden said.
If NSA were even capable of doing what the judge has just outlined for you, we wouldn't be having a debate here today. There would be nothing to argue about. Let's talk about
I would be
reality.
in complete control.
Let's talk about facts. The judge is an unrelenting libertarian.
Yes, Judge Napolitano is.
So am I. And I'm an unrelenting libertarian who's also responsible for 4 decades of his life for another important part of that document, the part that says, provide for the common defense.
Okay, stop it right there. I think the best retort to that I saw came from Mark Dice. He put on Twitter. What he meant to say was not that I'm an unrelenting libertarian. What Michael Hayden meant to say was, I'm an unrelenting Luciferian. This is a guy, you know, kind of like Michael Aquino, another person who was high up in the NSA. Look, if you're going to provide for the common defense, okay, you got to ask the question, what is he defending? Is he defending the Constitution that he swore to uphold? No. Is he defending the rule of law? No. Is he defending your individual liberties? No, he is trampling on all of that. No, what he is defending is continuity of government. And he will defend his criminal actions and the criminal actions of the agencies that he was in charge of in order to defend their power base. Listen, a libertarian values liberty. A libertarian values liberty above security. A libertarian doesn't trade his liberty for the promise of security. We know that that never works out. Whenever you give up your liberty for the promise of security, you get neither. As Benjamin Franklin said, you deserve neither. Well, you don't get either. You never get either of those. If you become a slave, you will never be secure. It's just that simple. If you want to live in a maximum security society, that's the same as living in our worst prisons. We call our worst prisons maximum security. Now, about a month ago, Michael Hayden went to Washington and Lee University, and he made some equally amazing statements there. And I did a report on it about a month ago. I want to play as much of that as we have time for before we go to break. Let's go to that report. There's a very interesting video that got posted by Washington and Lee University over the weekend. Michael Hayden, who has been at the top of the intelligence community as the surveillance state of the 21st century has been put into place. He was someone who began as the NSA director around the time of 9/11, shortly prior to that. He then moved on to director of national intelligence, then on to the CIA. He's pretty unapologetic about how he's broken the law, and he made some amazing statements at this law symposium.
I'm not a law enforcement officer. I don't suspect anybody.
He's not law enforcement. He doesn't have any suspects. So I guess that would be why he doesn't go before a judge and get a search warrant. Now remember that in 2006, Michael Hayden told some reporters that the term probable cause is not in the Fourth Amendment. Well, it certainly is in the Fourth Amendment. Of course, it is a right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. See, that's a right of the people. These are rights that we possess whether or not there's a Constitution or a Fourth Amendment. And the reason that we have the Fourth Amendment is because it puts prohibitions on people like Michael Hayden who think that they don't have or should not have any kind of controls on their actions. They should go before a judge and say that they have a reason to search for the person, and they should be very specific about it. But he's turned this upside down. Instead of going to a judge and getting a search warrant saying, this is what I'm looking for, he does a dragnet surveillance of everyone about everything. Here's what else he had to say.
This is not about guilt. In fact, let me be really clear, okay? NSA doesn't just listen to bad people. NSA listens to interesting people. People...
Isn't that funny? He doesn't listen to bad people, he listens to interesting people. Ha ha. Who does he find interesting? Is it the political opponents of his boss? Is it somebody that would rein in the surveillance state? Maybe it's somebody that he'd like to blackmail. Maybe it's someone that would give him some information about insider trading on financial markets. Maybe it's corporate secrets from another country. Maybe he's just some kind of a perverted voyeur. Whatever. He doesn't believe that there's any restraints on him. And what you need to understand is that the lie that we're giving up our freedoms so they can protect us from the bad guys is just that. It's a lie. He doesn't care about bad people. He cares about interesting people. Maybe he'll take an interest in you. Let's listen to what he said about Section 215.
A lot of commentary was made about Jim Clapper and the question from Ron Wyden on that, you know, about mass and bulk collection and so on. Jim's answer was horrible. All right, and Jim's an honest guy. He just hosed it horribly.
Yeah, he lied. Let's continue. He hosed it because he flat out lied under oath. But of course, if you're part of the intelligence community, you won't go to jail for lying under oath.
Jim's answer was not as bad as Ron Wyden's question.
Oh, it's the question that's the problem.
I don't really know what a dossier is in this context. So what I wanted to see is if you could give me a yes or no answer to the question, does the NSA collect any type of data at all?
And this is Ron Wyden talking to James Clapper. And of course, this is the famous quote where Clapper looks down and rubs his eyes and he can't look him in the eye because he's lying not only to the senator, but to America. And he was exposed shortly after that. Stay with us. I want to run the rest of those remarks from our libertarian Michael Hayden. Stay with us.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in. No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
The average person's life is filled with unexpected challenges. Unlock the energy it takes to defeat these daily beasts with super male or super female vitality, specifically designed to assist the body in regulating proper hormone balance to create superior vitality in males and females. Supercharge and conquer your world at InfoWarsLife.com or call 1-888-253-3139.
Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules, you will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. wild-crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true